Hello, everyone. This is really terrible lighting, is it not? It's very terrible lighting. But you know what? I really wanted to come on here and I wanted to chat with you for a moment because I think that it's very important. And obviously, by the um, by the particular uh, topic of the outlined video, I wanted to go over a few things. Okay. So what we'll do is this is the first time I've ever done live ever in my life. So please bear with me. Why don't you? Okay. So um, like I said, let's start with a few things. Okay. So some of the things that I want to chat about is um, how our beliefs. Let me see. I'm looking at my notes. Okay. Can you bear with me? Thank you so much. We have to get some new lighting, won't we? Have to get some new lighting on here. But anyway, so how a mermaid swims from depression to taking joy. So, what I first wanted to talk about is that when you are depressed, okay, and I understand fully, as many of you know, if you've been to my channel before, can you hear me well? Can you give me a thumbs up in the comment section that you can hear me very well? Like I said, I've never done this before. This is new. So, I love you for it. Do you like my paintings? Look, these are my covers of my books. Anyway, okay, back to what I was saying. So, depression is repressed feelings. Okay, and so listen, this might be a very long, drawn out video because I think that is very, very important, especially this time of year. You know, many people are, absolutely depressed. Uh, Besides all of the many things, sometimes you could be depressed for merely a small thing, and the reason that this happens is because we've allowed uh, our repressed feelings to build up. And what they do is build up and it creates deeper. And we think, which it is because it very much feels that way, is that it builds upon itself. So then have you ever has this ever happened to you? Now, before I started learning about law of attraction and Neville Goddard, what I would do is you think life's going fine, whatever. Like maybe you have a moment or a good weekend, or you have like a nice time or something, right? You're having a jolly time with your friends or whatever, and and things seem to be going naturally okay, okay. But you have those moments, and if you're a woman like me, you like have those moments to where you're like, oh, you're having those off days, and you're thinking, and then one thing's a pin drops or the child spills milk and you lose your utter mind because of spilled milk. And it's because women have a tendency, and I speak this way because religiously, okay? And so I will go deep into that because religiously has an enormous amount of an impact on a woman that grows up in this particular environment, a very submissive environment. So if you don't know and you're new here, hello everyone. I love seeing you. Hello, darlings. Um, if you used to being in a very submissive state, or you grew up in a religious home. Now, I grew up the first portion of my life till I was 17 in Pentecostal Church of God. That's like the holy rollers, the falling out in the aisles, that sort of thing, like Assembly of God, that kind of religion. Then when I was 17, I say graduate because I'm being funny, but I became a Mormon, the Church of Latter Day Saints, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, and so I really lived that life. So talk about two religions that are extremely strict, very organized religions, and then you go from that to feeling that you need to be this perfect person, right? Like you can't do certain things or you can't feel certain ways, and so that's what a lot of times people that become depressed, women become depressed. Listen, when I lived in Utah for a couple of years, and my daughter Zoe Kennedy was born there. But anyway, the point is that Utah is the highest rated from statistics uh, for women depressed in the entire country, in the United States of America. It's also, sidebar, And no offense to anyone, because you know me, I'm like, do what you love. But it's also in statistics the highest rate for breast augmentation, which is a great indicator that I think there's a lot of promiscuity and adultery in Mormonism. Personal experience, done lots of research on it. I speak from experience, not just, throwing ridiculous remarks out here. These are my own personal subjective viewpoints, okay? So you don't have to, agree with everything, but that's just me. I'm just being, just being that way. So what happens is, especially being in religion, so then you compound that with feeling that you can't be depressed, something's wrong with you, and then you need to be on depression medicine or medication, and so I went through all of that. And you guys also know, remember I told you that I was recently cast for, Reese Witherspoon has a production company called Hello Sunshine. I never knew about it until like the summer, but I was recently cast for that reality show. It's called Cottage to the Core. So core, Core, core. That's my British coming in. But anyway, yeah, so I will be stepping away for a bit of time to film for the show. But anyway, the point being is that, what was my point, you guys? What was my point? I'm sorry, my loves. Yeah, so when you compound all of that on top of feeling, when you repress your feelings, because for one thing, you're in religion, or maybe you didn't even grow up religious. Okay, I'm just speaking from my own experience and feeling that compounding of having all of this stuff to have this idyllic life, that you're not allowed to be depressed, and if you are, you need to take something for it. You need to get that under control, because the perception is that we really really need to be able to uh be so perfect, and this is just trying to keep us in a square. And so when I started coming out of religion and started practicing like law of attraction and things, like, obviously I'll share this with another video, but the reason that started to happen was because I was thinking about suicide. I was severely so depressed. Now listen, when I was with my ex-husband, I call him my ill-suited mate. I'm sure he's a lovely chap, but just not a lovely chap for me. And I had, on the outskirts of my life, it seemed like a really good picture. We were extremely wealthy. He's an entertainment business, or he was an entertainment business. We, all of the outside things. We have the money. We live in a nice area. We have, beautiful vehicles, and what, all of that sort of thing. Dress really really nice. But I was thinking about suicide about 20 times a day. And it got so bad that, like, the doctor just kept giving me more medication. And I'm a Pisces, so I'm very much like a hippie child. I've always kind of been that like naturistic kind of person, but after religion started compounding, and I completely kept getting more depressed and more depressed and more depressed, nothing was working. Nothing was working. And so I kind of went into a cocoon, because we realize that it's your repression of your feelings, the true nature of what you really want. But because we don't listen as women, I'm speaking for women, okay? Because we don't act on our feelings of what we really deeply, because we all intuitively as women know what we want. We know what we want. I knew I wanted to leave my marriage for 20 years, but I was terrified to do it, because that belief that I had set up, and I was in this box of this paradigm that I just couldn't get. I didn't think that I could escape it. But when I started like wanting to kill myself, like I had already went through, I never cut myself, but I did have a bout with anorexia, eating disorder, um, obsessive compulsive disorders, and obviously I took medication for depression, and then I had to start taking it for sleeping, and it's just never enough. And so I started to realize, I started to go into like this cocoon, and I didn't tell anybody. And that's why, like, when people don't know like my story before, like people that knew me like from high school, or people that I went to church with, hello darlings, how are you? Thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you're here. um I can't read it because I don't have my spectacles. I think they're in the other room, and I'm so sorry, my loves. But yeah, when I started, having these deciding, like, I think I need to start sharing my truth, because that's really what it is. It was very, very scary for me because, and I might get emotional, I'm a very emotional person, and all of this sort of thing happened before my son, my middle son, was murdered. He was brutally murdered, and this was all happening way before then because I had been toying with that idea of like, how am I going to get out? Because listen, I had always been a stay-at-home mother, so I never had a formal education past high school. I would do little curriculums or little certificates and certifications and things like that online, but that still is terrifying when you have no income. It's everything is done by your husband manages everything and you have no money. So, and then you have 4 children on top of that. So it's very, very scary for a woman. I know this, and so that's why I can relate, and I feel like I have ample experience to speak on this matter. And so, but if I can do it, you can do it. There is nothing to keep you from doing it. And as soon as I started, I went inward. And to be quite frank, you guys, I never told, and this is why it was such a shock for everyone, even my children, because if you've ever lived with someone that's, and I know that this is like a catchphrase word, everyone talks about like, oh, he's a narcissist. Oh, they're a narcissist, and oh, they're gaslight. Well, I didn't know what that was called back then. And I still am kind of sway away from that a bit. But the fact is that when you're living with someone like that, you don't know that you're living with someone like that. So you literally do start to think that you are crazy. And so that doesn't help when you've been isolated and you don't have any friends. And it's not like they're locking the door behind you and beating you put to a pulp. No, it's psychological and mental abuse. And so that makes it even more scary because you have nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? Like it's only you against basically the world. So what I did is I began, because when I got so depressed, so this is when it happened. It was in 2013. And unbeknownst to me, many, many of unfortunate events happened with my ex ill-suited mate. And he was getting fired, which I had no idea all of this. People started coming out of the woodwork when I got my divorce, and I'm the one that filed for the divorce, but I threw it on everyone, not even my parents. I said I was going on a trip. I said, "Oh my goodness." My aunt paid for an airline ticket, and I said, Mommy, can I come and, crash on the couch for like 2 weeks? I want to have a little workshop. I want to come and visit, because I really did want to come and visit. But I was planning my escape, and that's what I did. I took 2 suitcases and figured out for the first 3 weeks what I could do and what I could live on. And so obviously my parents didn't know that I was leaving and I wanted to divorce my husband, but I couldn't tell him because I thought that I wouldn't be able to get out of the state. Now this sounds very dramatic, and you might think, "Oh my God, she's spilling this story that's so ridiculous sounding." But I want you to understand. I can understand what you're saying. I mean, not what you're saying, but what if you might feel like that, because but I'm just sharing my truth, and I try not to get a bit upset, because I think the thing is I have such passion for women, and knowing that it's very difficult, and that's probably why I have a huge problem with women that say that they're struggling, and yet they have the financial abilities to do the things that they want to. And so I'm like a no nonsense when it comes to that. I don't stand for many excuses, because I'm like, if I can do it and I had no money and no job, no income, nothing whatsoever, I know it can be done. And you're in a being, or you want to call God consciousness, spirit, whatever you want to call it, the universe, will help you to be capable. Because what I start to do, and when I said I got depressed and all this, and it started in 2013, I started just being alone with myself. And no one knew this. You can think whatever thoughts you want in your mind, no one knows it, right? And so I just started thinking, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to pray because I was a spiritual person, a religious person at that time. So I just said, I do believe in miracles. I do believe I could do this because I really think that this is the problem, and the indication was that a lot of times my children, when my ex ill-suited mate would go out of town because he traveled a lot, that my children would say to me, and the one that was murdered, he would say to me often, "Mommy, why do you act so differently when Daddy's around? Why do you act so differently? You're not the same mommy." And that started to break my heart. I just was like, it just made me so sad because I was like, my children saw it. But I didn't. I couldn't see it. I just knew that I was sad, but I thought, crying in the bathroom and then clearing my face and fixing my face up would make all the difference, and they wouldn't know, but they everything's energetic, so my kids really did know, my children. So I just started planning, but what I did first, ladies, is I started learning how to love myself. I started believing in myself and try to gain and develop a mindset of like I saw some video on YouTube one time and it was like law of attraction or something, and it was probably Abraham Hicks, and it was sort of terrifying at first because she was saying like you are the god of your reality, um, and everything that you are creating is your responsibility because you are accountable for your own life. You are the creator of your reality, and that was a little bit harsh. I was like, oh, I had this little chip on my shoulder because I was like, no, how dare you? You know what I mean? But it was just because I was so wounded. But that is what it is. So the first step in getting past the depression is to understand what depression is. It's a repression of your feelings. And so what I started doing is writing down everything. If no one watched you, darlings, if no one watched you and no one knew what you were writing down, um, on your piece of paper, okay? And you said, I really would love to do this, or I really wish I was, excuse me, I had to wipe my nose with my Kleenex. I have my tissue here, but um, I um, I started writing down what really if there was no limit, what would I want to do? Well, my first thing was I wanted to leave my marriage. But I just put that down. So just put that down on the paper, like whatever you want to do. That doesn't mean you want to leave your marriage. You probably have a wonderful and most extraordinary marriage, for the most part. Anyway, you guys are going to have to hold on because I've got to go. Just hold on there, okay? Because I've got to go. I have allergies, okay? Hold on just a minute, my loves. Okay, I'm back almost. Almost, I'm back. Okay, that's my chair. Anyway, okay, so what you want to do is you want to write down, just in your secret diary or whatever, you want to write down what you really feel with no holds barred, like no one's watching you, no one's reading your journal, your diary or whatever, and you want to write down how you really feel. And don't think anyone's going to correct you or condemn you or tell you you're sinning or you're a terrible person. Nothing's going to happen. I want you to be very specific in this. And what you're going to notice is you have true feelings that you already know how you feel about certain things and what is the derivative reason for why you feel depressed. Like for instance, I knew I was depressed because on those days when I would be just at the house and like maybe I was into like a really fun craft at that time or something, you know what I mean? Like I would be enjoying myself and everything was great or wonderful, or maybe I had gotten my kick, I kind of say my fix, like when I would go shopping because that was my way of coping. Everyone has a way of coping. Some people drink, some people have sex, some people are into porn, some people cut themselves, some people are overeat, or they're bulimic, or they're anorexic, or they do drugs. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge you. I completely understand everything. I do. I have no judgment whatsoever. But this is all the ways that we cope. Okay, so my biggest thing, because I was a religious person, my biggest coping mechanism was, okay, I'm going to shop, because that was kind of considered like I wasn't breaking the religious rules. Does that make sense? So I thought, well, I'm just going to, I'm going to shop. Well, I really didn't understand that's what I was doing, but that was my coping mechanism. And then you realize, like, after you drink, or after you, get your last hit, or after you, self harm, or after you, have a night with a mate, or a lass or a lad, you're like, oh, you feel empty again. So then you need it again to suffice the depression. Okay, but what it is if we can get rid of all of the repressed feelings of why you feel depressed, you will elevate your consciousness, and so you will never need those extra things that help you to cope. And no judgment, because the reason that we adapted these coping mechanisms is because it was the way that we helped survive when we were little. It's the way that we survived. So you're not wrong for anything that you've ever done. So, I mean, there's nothing that you can do that can't be overturned and fixed and revised and changed. There's no limits. You are limitless in your ability to create the kind of life that you want. And if you want to not be depressed, I'm telling you, these are the things that you do. We have to uncover why you're depressed. Okay. What are the first feelings that surface? And I'm going to use that metaphor because, mermaids, but when it starts to bubble up, and when you start to feel your nervous system, when you get upset, or like, okay, what just upset me? These are all symptoms of something that's internally deeper that you've ignored. And so when I talked about the spilled milk, it's because we have repressed some feeling that is stemming from that spilled milk. And that might sound really, it's very deep and spiritual, but I'm going to help you to dive deep into these kind of uh, analogies, and these kind of, first of all, I want to help you with the techniques of how to come out of these things, because it can be a little overwhelming when you first start, like, want to learn about, like, the law of attraction and manifesting, because there's so much. It's become such an absorbent amount of information on the computer. uh, you get, that was my rabbit, sorry. You might get a little overwhelmed, because there's so much information out there, and I'm just speaking from the things that have really worked for me. And so now I listened to, like, Abraham Hicks for like 8 years. Okay, and then when I got onto Neville Goddard and really started studying his information and things like that, I really, really like his. I saw massive turnaround in short amounts of time on manifesting. But before we can start manifesting, because you guys all manifest every day of your life, you were born manifesting, you've always manifested, you just didn't consciously know you were manifesting. You're just consciously aware now. Okay. You have to get a good self concept. You have to get rid of this depression. You have to learn to understand why you're getting depressed, how the subconscious mind works, and all of that sort of thing. Okay. So, do you guys have any questions? Let me see here. Your health is not good. Okay. Let me see. Is that Sylvia? Sylvia? Is that what your name is? I can't. I'm sick. You're right. They do. And write down what done well for you try in your life. Okay. Um, yes, everything, it affects you. Yes, toxic people in your life. Okay. Now, this is going to be very difficult. And see, this is what I'm talking about when I said that I knew the first thing in my life that I needed to do was to remove myself, because I started to realize I'm not the toxic person. But when you're living with toxic people, they will begin making you believe that you're the crazy one. Okay, excuse me. Um, they will make you believe that you're the crazy one, and so I knew that I wasn't when my children started to reaffirmed to me that, "Mommy, why do you act so different? You're like a sweet mommy, and you're so loving and you're so kind and everything, but you act scared and timid of daddy, you know? Why do you act like that, mommy?" And so I just would kind of blow them off like, "Ugh, oh, darling, what are you talking about? Oh, it's just because, I'm stressed. I've got lots to do. Mommy's busy. Mommy busy. But when I start to do, at night and everything's quiet and, that's when the merry-go-round starts. That's when the circus starts hitting, you know what I mean? All the craziness starts going through your mind and you're like, "Oh, this is not good." So I knew that because I was starting to learn these things, like listening to the Abraham Hicks and listening to like wonderful, uplifting things, and just starting to think, what do I want in life? How do I want my life to look? I don't want to be like this anymore. That I knew I needed to get away from this toxic person. And so that is the first step. Now, and I'm going to explain to you because I'm going to give you the verbatim step by step, because when I say that, that's all well and good, Raquel. That's what you're probably saying. That's well and good. It sounds great, sounds wonderful. But I had to sit on that for 7 months. Okay. Because I couldn't just one day I decided I'm going to leave. I couldn't just leave that day. I had 3 children that were at home. My oldest one was on his mission for the church, the Mormon church. No, actually, my son Sawyer, the one that was killed, he was already in his own apartment, so he lived on his own. So I had the 2 younger ones, and so I had to figure out, what am I going to do? I didn't know what I was going to do. How am I going to make money? How am I going to leave? Where am I going to go? Like, I understand that. So the biggest thing that I'm going to tell you is you have to start inwardly doing all of these things on your own and keeping your mouth shut. You don't express to even your best friend, because what's going to happen is you start to get other people. Listen, I'm no doctor, so don't yell at me for this, but I'm just saying that um yell at me or say, listen, I'm just giving you my perception. I'm like, you have to do what's right for you. I'm not telling you exactly what you have to do and what you don't do. But I didn't tell anyone because I knew that my ex ill-suited mate had already started to say, and you're crazy, you need to go get on medication and you need to do this, and they might need to, put you in a mental institution, all of that sort of thing. Like, that's how bad it got. So I just stopped acting like anything was wrong because I didn't want to like make waves, because then that would make it look like I was even more crazy. And so I had to be very protective. So I wouldn't tell anyone. Not, I think I had one friend, but I didn't tell her what I was doing even, because I was very distrusting, I didn't trust anyone. And plus I didn't want anyone to convince me that I was making the wrong decision, and I didn't want their opinion. I was determined I was doing this and that was how it was going to be. So you have to sit on it, and what you have to do is you have to know within your heart, and this is very difficult, but I know that you are strong enough to do it. If you're strong enough to believe that you are reaching out to me and you want to change your life, and you're capable of changing your life, that's the first step. You have to want to do it. And I trust you and I believe in you. And if you are sick, if you are physically or mentally having a go, I do understand that. But you're obviously not sick enough to where you can't listen to me. So I know that you have a little bit in you, okay? So when I say to you, I sound like sometimes I'm a little brash, okay? And I'm a little bit forthright. Not a little bit, I'm quite forthright. So I've had a lot of experience, and I've survived, you know um, figuring out a way to make money. Like, I cleaned houses, I cleaned toilets, I painted people, I picked up people's yard work, I did all kinds of things. When I came to my parents house, I would run errands. I would organize photo albums, and people would just pay me to do these. It wasn't a lot of money, but I didn't care because at least if I could afford to pay, because my mom and dad said, once I finally told them, they couldn't believe it. They were absolutely shocked. They told me to go back. No, you do not need to do this. This is inappropriate. You do not have a Bible excuse. It was that sort of thing. Okay. So when I tell you that it was very difficult, no one was on my side when I decided to do this. So you've got to be very strong, and you all very strong. So don't you dare give up. Don't you dare give up. And so whatever you need to do in this moment and I'm going to tell you another thing that's going to help you immensely, okay? And that is regulating your breath. Okay, so let me give you two examples. Okay, so when I was a mermaid at Weeki Wachee Springs, okay, one of the first things that we always learn, and you learn this too if you've ever been on an airplane, they always say, regulate your breathing, breathe in the bag, and then you give your mask to the other person, but you first help yourself, okay? It's survival. The same thing when I was learning my CPR and being a lifeguard. So I had to be scuba certified and all of that sort of thing when I was a mermaid. And what you learn when you are a lifeguard is that you may have to lose one person if they're trying to kill you and drown you. You have to get them off of you to save the rest, okay? And so that one person might end up drowning. So my point being is that the one thing that we learned at Weeki Wachee, because we were on, air tubes underneath the water, okay, is that you've got to regulate and balance out your breathing. Okay. It's very, very important. This helps regulate, it's stimulus. It is how we are made as humans. You have to regulate your nervous system because it's the whole thing about just how animals are in nature. We as humans have a mortal body, and you have to regulate your nervous system. Have you ever noticed, like, if you feel like you're getting in an argument with your loved one or something, and you start getting upset, or you get nervous, or you get angry, or whatever, like, depending on whether you're a fight, flight, flee, or freeze person. I was always a flee. I was a flee person. You know what I mean? Like, I had to run and get away. That's how I coped with it when my father, when I was young, I came from an extremely abusive alcoholic home. And so it was volatile. So I always ran and hid. That was my fleeing, was my way to cope. So however you cope, I want you to recognize what you do and how you do that, but regulate your breathing. So, what you're going to do is if you feel yourself getting upset or like, oh, I can't handle this toxic person, or like, this is bad, this is not good, the first thing you need to do is I want you to get somewhere, wherever it is. It does not matter where it is. You say, oh, excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to walk outside. I need to go that's often a very good thing too, is if you can get outside, just walk outside. I used to walk so much when I was going through those 7 months before I left the house, is that I would walk a lot at night, during the day. I did a lot of walking. And so regulate your breathing. I want you to breathe in 3 times, out 5 times, and you keep doing that. You will probably need to do it if you're super, 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 it's very high level anxiety, because anxiousness is just it's fear. Okay. Anxiety is not feeling safe. That is what, when people say, oh, I have anxiety, it's because you don't feel safe. Something makes you not feel safe. And if you get triggered, you're going to get anxious. Okay. I understand this. I used to have anxiety attacks all the time. I couldn't breathe. I was like, felt like I was going to die. And so that's what I learned. I was like, oh, I'm going to use I didn't know about my regulating my breathing until I started listening to Neville Goddard. And then it just made perfect sense. I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to do this all the time as a mermaid. Why didn't I catch on to that? But anyway, do that for 15 minutes. Regulate your breathing. It's going to bring you back down to a neutral stand. Okay. Then you will be able to logically think, because women are emotional. Okay. We're driven off of our emotions. So we do not do it the same way that men, our lads do. We do not know how to regulate our nervous system the way that men do. Men are logical, women are emotional. So we have to regulate that. It's very, very important. And so I hope that these 2 or 3 things helped you, because I know that they helped me. And if you do them, they will help you. I promise you. Um, Let me see if I can. Should I put my glasses on? Yeah, you spend a lot of time in your room. Very, very anxious. I understand this. Ashley, do you guys have any questions other than that? Should I leave this on and let it go? Because I really want to help you, but I think tomorrow I'll do another video. If I can step on here, I'll do another video about how your subconscious mind works. Um, the biggest thing that I want you to be able to do is to manifest, okay? Like manifest the life that you want. But until you understand how the subconscious mind works and how you are dealing every day on a day-to-day basis with your coping mechanisms of how you feel, because our feeling state is very, very like crucial to our existence. So if you have a terrible feeling state, you're going to find it very difficult to go and start manifesting. You have to have a good self-concept first, and this is what I understood, because for the longest time I would be like, um I knew how to manifest, but it seemed like everything would go really, really well. Like when I left my marriage, and I manifested my twin flame in like 2 months. So I and this was all happening, it happened very fast. But then I would find myself back starting to get into these cycles where I would become that same thing. Those same things started to rise up again. And I'm like, why do these things keep happening to me? Like, I can't keep girlfriends that are like, I have no problem getting girlfriends, but I couldn't retain keeping girlfriends. Or I didn't trust men. Like, I could not trust men. So until I understood what my beliefs were and changed those beliefs through my subconscious, when I was sleeping, I couldn't fix certain things because I couldn't manifest certain things because that belief kept rising up. So, when you try to do that and people try to manifest when they have a terrible self concept, and I know some people say, oh, it doesn't matter if you have a terrible self concept. You can manifest things. It's very clear. You can see lots and loads of videos where people manifest. But I promise you that if they don't have a good self concept and they truly and deeply love themselves, you know, um, deeply, and they haven't changed that self concept of themselves, they will re-manifest these other things. It will go back. It's like the universe. You can't force nature. It's like a vacuum. You can't force it. The universe works on energy. So whereas you can make things happen, yeah, you can make things happen, but they're going to alter. They have to go back because they haven't been really changed. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It'll work for a little while, but then if you have a terrible self-concept, it's gonna rise back up. It's not gonna do any good. And so that's what I had to learn too. And I learned that probably like 3 years ago when I started, I listened to new beliefs at night. I created new beliefs on my phone and just start listening to them every single night on the things that bothered me. And I never have those problems anymore. But yeah, I hope that you guys are um I see are you guys just having conversations with each other? Huh? Is that what you're doing? Can I ask you something? I do years now in the twin flame journey. Any tips? Can I ask you something? I'm 6 years now in a twin flame journey. Yeah, ask me, please. And he is with another girl the last year. He looks happy. Doesn't matter. Circumstances don't matter, my love. What's your name, darling? Sylvia? Doesn't matter. Listen, you want to hear my story about, I'll give you a little briefing. I know there's, what is there, four people on here? That doesn't matter. I love you, four people. Okay, so when I met my twin flame, okay, I wasn't manifesting a twin flame. Now I was, okay, let me take that back. I was manifesting a twin flame for years and years, okay? But I used to always, I would let it go because I felt guilty because I was like, I'm in a marriage, and in Mormons, they're married for eternity, okay? Did you know that? Like when you get married in the temple, you're married for an eternity. So I couldn't understand, like, what is wrong with me? Why on the side do I think about, like, oh, this person, I know there's a twin flame out there for me. I always knew there was, but I would never tell anyone because I thought that, oh my gosh, that's crazy talk, you know? So circumstances don't matter because when I met Jeffrey, Sean, my husband now, my twin flame, um, obviously it happened so fast because in 2 months I went from married in a family with this guy, had this career, he's in entertainment business, all that sort of thing, got my children, my little happy family in my pretty little house. And I went from that, got a divorce, got married. I mean, I didn't get married to Jeffrey Sean right straight away, obviously, but it was only for, I think, 5 months. We got married in 5 months. It doesn't matter because if you know that they're your twin flame, there's a reason you know that your twin flame. It doesn't matter what they're doing. And listen, don't excuse me, don't watch them. And I know that's very, very difficult, but try not. Keep your attention away from it. Focus on yourself. Focus on working. Fall in love with yourself. Okay. And I know that's hard to do, but that's what I had to do. I wouldn't think about twin flame. I thought about the things that I want in a twin flame. So I would say, and I knew that because I knew what I didn't want in the mate that I had. So, for instance, some of the things that I didn't like was, I was like, oh, I want someone that's not balding. You guys, is this funny? Um, I knew I was like, I want my twin flame. And I would just relish in that. Like I would, I love baths, obviously. I'm a Pisces and I'm a mermaid. So I would take relaxing bubble baths, okay, with candles lit and everything. That was my only sanity that I could get away from everyone. No one would bother me. So I'd go in and take like 2, 3 baths a day. So I would think and dream about my twin flame. I didn't know who it was. I just knew I'm like, oh, I want him to have chestnut hair. I don't know why, but I said, I don't want him to be bald. See, my ex, he has a bald, he's balding. So I was like, I don't want him to be bald. I want him to have nice, pretty, curly brown hair. And I said, oh, I want him to have a sharp nose, like a sharp nose, like a pretty nose, for a man. Kind of like a Johnny Depp nose. I look at Johnny Depp nose. And I said, I can't wait. I want him to be olive skin. I did. I was very specific. I said, oh, I want him to manscape. Now, if you guys want to know like details, I'm very detailed in this. And so I would relish in these ideas. Now, the only reason that I would say these things is because I didn't like the person that had been with that had straight hair. I didn't like it. I was like, I would love for someone to have curly, beautiful, thick hair. And then what was some of the other ones? Oh, I said, and he's going to, and this is what I would say because I didn't know who the guy was. I had no vision. I just said, I want him to be taller, no taller than 6 foot because I'm 5'2". I'm like Kim Kardashian height. So I didn't want it like way, way tall. I'm not like, ooh, tall and handsome. No, I didn't want him over 6 foot, but I wanted him taller than 5'7". Okay. XL suited mate, 5'7". Things like that. So I just relish in those. And those things are momentum picking up. Every 17 seconds, you're picking up momentum. Like, oh, and he's going to love to go to the flea market with me. And he's going to love to go to charity shop with me. And oh, he's going to love to garden. I mean, he's a landscaper for like celebrities. Isn't that funny? And I never knew who my twin flame was. And I was married. So let's see what we got. 1 step and 5 steps back. What? Let me see what you're saying, my love. What you're saying, breathing in and out is something we don't do correctly, but certain amount of oxygen is that. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Winged infinity. Oh, I like your name. I like your handle. I love you. What you got? I love that Ashley Wolf. It reminds me of Virginia Woolf. Are you related? I bet you are. New genealogy. Hello, Sylvia. What do you think about that, love? Do you like it? I did this years ago, but I realized that I didn't really believe it apparently. Yeah, I know. Well, and here's the thing, you guys. Imagine finding your dream guy and leaving you for another. You're so funny. I love you guys. Um, yeah, but that's the funny thing. Like, yeah, you could have anyone you want. And that's the thing is, don't think, yeah, even if you don't believe it, like that's the things when I was listening and I was putting in these new beliefs, like I started saying like, what was it? What I started saying? Let me give you one generic one kind of. Um, let's see. Oh, I know what I said. Uh, kept saying, "Oh, I in my these were my affirmations that I created, and no one knew what they were because I recorded them on my little what do you call it? So let me show you. Like, do you guys like my phone case? Isn't it cute? It looks like I got it from the Ukraine. It looks like it says book on it. Isn't that so cute? My husband got it for me, Jeffrey Sean, because he knows I love that. But so what you do is, do you see this on here? You go on to, can you guys see that? Let me see if I can pull it up. Is that camera? It's not showing it. It's right here. Trying to do it, you guys. I'm trying to help you. Anyway, it's called what is it called? Voice recorder. Okay, it's free. Doesn't cost anything if you have a cell phone. Okay, it's called voice recorder, and you can record things on there. And so that's all I did was I made a list of everything that I wanted to do. Like I said, I so one of the things, remember I told you, I said I had a struggle having girlfriends. Like, everyone on Instagram would like block me and ended up hating me. It was never a problem for me to gain friends, but then they ended up not liking me, like for one reason or another. And then I realized, oh, I have a belief that everyone that becomes my friend will eventually become jealous, and then they won't like me and they'll block me. And what do you? I created my reality. So what I started saying is, I don't want to do that. I want to create. So my new belief was, I am the best friend of all women, especially Christian women, because that was the big culprit. Is there were always Christian women that were like, "We don't like you anymore. You're like going to, hell," because I'm a spiritual person now and not a religious person. And so I said, everyone loves me, especially women of religion. Everyone loves me, and always wants to be my friend and retain a friendship forever. Is sustainable. And so I would, in so many words, that's what I would write. I am a wonderful friend to women, most importantly, spiritual, and sustain my friendships, which ended up being so lovely because now I have the greatest friends. I hope you guys want to be my friend. Do you want to be my friend? And it's just worked out so well. I have never struggled with that ever, ever. I haven't struggled in a year and a half. Because that's when I had listened to the beliefs. I started like a year and a half ago, and I change them up a lot because once I get one impressed, I don't need to keep into my subconscious. I don't need to keep redoing it. You know what I mean? Let me see if you got what else you got to say, love. Manifesting my dream man, long black hair, the Justin Bob. Yeah, yeah, I love that. Your energy is great. Oh, that's so nice. Maybe like Aaron Taylor Johnson, over 6 feet from me. Good for you, my love. Good for you. I know it's, but do not ever think that you can't have what you want. And that's another thing that like religious people do too a lot. I mean, I love religious people. Like, look, I have so many my mom is like extremely religious, like reads her Bible every day. Come on now. And but that was another belief that I imprinted in my subconscious because I was like, you know what? I want all religious people to love and embrace me, regardless of whether I'm Christian or spiritual. Because I do not believe in, God the way that I was raised. I have a new perspective of it. But for the longest time, I was terrified to even tell anyone because religious people like, oh, that poor soul. Oh, we'll pray for her because she's going to hell. Like burning in a flame of fire forever. Like, right? I mean, isn't that the truth? But no, but like everyone loves me, and loads of people, especially like my family, and even like, ring me up and say, hey, what do you think about this manifesting? I'm like, it's in the Bible 87 times about manifesting. Like, what's the big hang up, my loves? I have struggled with the same thing. Yeah, I would love sustainable friendships. I know, with women. Oh my God, Ashley, you right along with me. Like that's what we have to do is like create these new beliefs, right? Um, and so it's easy to do. Like I said, you guys, like if you have a cell phone, um, if you don't, I'm trying to think like what would you do? Trying to think like you could do it on like what a cassette or CD or something like that. Like you really could. I could even maybe create something like that for someone if they didn't have it. But I would think most of you guys do, wouldn't you? Are you watching this on your phone? Or are you at home on your laptop? Christian also. I love that, my darling. And very spiritual. Yeah, see, that's the thing is like there's so many people like it's really like it's just the way that you practice your faith. I mean, I still am faithful. I just believe excuse me, differently in things. That's all right. We're all here in this together, aren't we? We're in here together. There are cheap audio recorders at Target. Oh, see how we're all helping each other out. Thank you, my darling. Thank you. Um, yeah, and so you can record that. So like you write down everything that you want and start out all of your things with just take an evaluation. Like, okay, what is it that I want? And don't put any limits on it. Like I say, I am, and so that's what you do is like, I am is your consciousness, right? I am. And so you state that and you decree what you want. And then you write it down. That's what I did. I took a piece of paper in my little diary, or you can even do it like in your notebook, your notes of your phone. And then what you can do is write them all down in your notes, just type them out. And then you could just turn your app on or whatever, and then press record and just start reading them because it's really good that I want you to rely on yourself because it's so important for you to know that you are the creator of your reality. I don't want you to have any other gods before you. You know what I'm saying? Like some people will like get onto like a pastor or some kind of guru spiritual person or something like that, and they're always going to disappoint. Okay, even I'm going to disappoint you. So I want you to rely on yourself. You have to become the goddess, the mermaid goddess within. Okay, so that's why I'm very much an advocate for I'm going to teach you the tools, but you're going to be your own teacher. You're going to do it. You're going to do all the work. And then you will never resent me because you'll say, oh, did you do the work? Yeah, it's your responsibility. Good for you, right? And Walmart. Okay, good. That's awesome. You guys are so wonderful. See how you help each other out? I love that about you. You guys are the best. Where have you guys been all my life? You're like, well, Raquel, you kind of got to put material out, darling. um, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Did I cover that? Uh, yeah. So, like I was saying, the whole thing about your twin flame, like, who cares if there was someone else? Obviously, uh, I was with someone else. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person or anything. It's just that I knew that I wanted to be out of marriage. Whether he knew it or not, that's not my problem. I was focused on myself. I had spent my entire life worrying about someone else and making them happy. And so I kind of felt like one of those puppets on a string. You know how you start to feel like that, like, oh, you need to change this, Raquel. Oh, I don't like you dressing like that, Raquel. Oh, you can't do that, Raquel. And so then you start to learn like you will adjust, but then you start to gain resentment. And so that's what happened. It's kind of like I built a brick wall. And then there was one day that was just the straw. And there was one thing that happened. I'll tell you guys about it one day if you want to hear it. Um, you guys gonna watch me on the reality show Cottage to the Core? Have you ever heard of the Hello Sunshine production company from Reese Witherspoon? I'd never heard of it until they reached out to me on the Instagram. And so there is an awesome app that looks. Can I look at that, my love? Let me see what that says. Old tip. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's the one, my love. Winged Infinity. What's your first name? I'd love to talk to you first name. It is so fun to use. That's the one I'm using. Yes, that's the one I'm using. And it looks like your handwriting. Yeah. That's it. Um, and with women, intimate, trusting, and reciprocation. Yeah. The thing is, everyone else has a problem with me. I like myself. I'm so sweet and kind, and I have an amazing heart. I know, but here's the funny thing, you guys, is that so. Let me give an example of like the whole thing about women, right? And I told you, I said, but internally, wherever that came from. So, like, what happens is we get on this. Do you guys want me to get off because I've been on here for like way long? But anyway, I'll end this in a second. But what happens is, see, we have like this idea. I'm like, yeah, I'm the sweet. I used to think I'm the sweetest person. What do you mean you don't like me anymore? You block me on Instagram? What the heck? And then you go tell all your friends I'm a terrible human being. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, where'd that come from? But the thing is that we can fool people from the external version of what we're projecting outwards. But what we don't understand is for a long time, we have navigated through life thinking that our thoughts don't matter, but our thoughts create. So the only thing that we're doing is walking around creating things through our thoughts. So if I internally, like I could pretend or think, not even knowing that I'm pretending, but be friends with someone and make friends. Like I said, I never had a problem making friends. My problem was sustaining them and always thinking they're going to stab me in the back. And they always did. And it was for the most silliest, nonsensical things that ever. I mean, now I think about it as like, oh my gosh, that was so silly. But I had to create that reality because they were mirror reflecting back what I was projecting outwards energetically, not what I was doing, but energetically. So they had to manifest and become that way because that was what I assumed internally from my belief. Okay. Does that make sense? I know this is a heavy, deep conversation about it's like a topic that is deeply spiritual, and there's a lot of controversy on it, but that would be something fun if you guys want me to do a video on that. Like I said, I want to do a video on the how the subconscious mind works, and I'd kind of like put off not doing it because it's in my book, the book that's coming out next year. Well, I say next year, but that's like tomorrow. But it's the Little Mermaid's transformational tale, and it's all about that. Like I put painted little diagrams and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's going to have all of that in there. But I think I should just start doing the videos because I think a lot of people, loads of people like them and need them, right? Yes, it doesn't have a good special. Man just says, voice. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just says voice recorder. I know there's something to it. Yeah, and so like some of those things, like when I was doing my beliefs and I first started listening to them, some of the things took on right quick. Like one of them that took on right quick, like because people started reflecting back to me, was me wearing my old fashioned clothes. So I wear old historic clothes every single day, like corset, chemise. I mean, call me a weirdo, I know, but I wear historic clothing every day. And so that had been always something I had always wanted to do, even back in the day. But because I had a low self concept, I allowed like the world and like to shame me into like, no, that's weird. You can't do that. That's terrible. Everyone's not going to like you. So what did I reflect that back? I tried it a couple times and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's making fun of me. And I'm not doing this anymore. But when my son was murdered, okay, I finally decided like life's too short. Like I'm going to do what I want when I want, and I'm not asking any permission. I'm doing it. And so I wanted that belief to be that everyone thinks that I'm so beautiful. Now, listen, I know that subjectively, but I want people to believe that I feel beautiful in my historic clothing. And I literally, it reflects back to me. So it's so funny once you gain a self concept and you believe in that in yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone says to you because they're going to reflect back to you what you believe about yourself. And so everyone, just tonight, I was at Publix, the grocery store, with Jeffrey Sean, and this happened 3 times in the grocery store. So one of my self concepts was everyone thinks that I'm beautiful and ladylike and graceful in my historic clothing, and they tell me that verbally. And so that was one of them. Well, it became true really, really quickly. Obviously, I had no resistance to that. Now, other things I must have resistance to, okay? That took a little bit longer. The women thing with the friendship took a little bit longer because I had loads of resistance with that, especially on Instagram. That was a big thing. But anyway, like tonight, 2 gentlemen and 1 gal came up to me in separate areas of the grocery store telling me, oh, you look so ladylike. Oh, you look so wonderful. Oh, I wish women would dress like you more. It's so refreshing to see someone like, blah, 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 blah. That's what I'm saying is that, if you don't have loads of resistance in one area, the concept is going to trickle in and, reprogram your mind easier than these other ones, like if you have more resistance to them. But anyway, it doesn't have, what does it say? You guys, don't we want to follow each other on the Instagram? You guys want to follow each other? Why don't you go to the Instagram and I want to follow you? We'll be friends there. Would you like it? Yes, and starting to be able to capture every thought and think it into captivity. I like that. Whatever you like is in style or Others will believe it is by how you wear it. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Ashley. Um, do you guys, so I guess I'll close, but, I love you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for showing up. And I don't know, like, I've been on here an hour, my loves. You guys, can you put in the comment section because I want to watch it afterwards. I want to find your handle. Do you have an Instagram? I'm only on the Instagram and the Pinterest, but I'm not really active on the Pinterest very much. I have a Facebook, but it's private because of the reality show right now. So I've got to watch all of my stuff because of contractual things, you know. But I really would like to watch you on the Instagram. No social media for me. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, you're smart, my love. When Sawyer died, when my son Sawyer died, I left the social media. I mean, I left everything for like a year. Then I went back to Instagram, but thank you, my loves. I hope you had a good night, and I hope what you guys doing? It's about to be the new year, isn't it? In a couple hours. Um, but if you don't have the social media, we go to my blog because I'm there every day. I go on there every day and usually check my comment section and all that sort of thing. Okay. I hope this stays up on there. I don't know how to do the end in the stream. All right, I love you guys, but I'm going to come on here tomorrow and do a video. I like this live chat though because it's easy. All right. God bless you too. I love you. I really do. I want to hear your progress. My name on Instagram is Raquel Margaret Carter. It's the same as my handle here on YouTube, Raquel Margaret Carter. That's my pen name. Well, it's my legal name as well, but it's my maiden name, but I kept my pen name for that reason. Um, RAQU. Can I type it in? Can I do that? Yeah. Do you see it on there, Sweet Pea? Do you see it? It says Raquel Margaret Carter. I think it has at on the front, doesn't it? You guys come visit me. I would love to talk to you because I really want to see how it went. Like if you did anything, tonight, or if you do anything tonight. Okay, do you have the same name as me? And I'm Rachel. No, mine's Raquel. My dad loved Raquel Welch. Um, don't judge, okay? But it's RAQUEL, like Spanish. Um, but I love Rachel. Your name's Rachel. Winged. Okay, cool. I love that. Are you Spanish? Yes, I'll find you. Yeah, I think in Spain it is the same as Rachel and Raquel, isn't it? That's what I've heard. Yeah. Okay. All right, you guys. I love you, and I'm really going to check back in with you. Okay, tomorrow. So, um, don't let me down. Don't let me down, girls. Okay, I love you. Okay, cheers, you guys. Oh, it's French. Really? Well, I know Raquel Welch is Spanish. She's from Spain, isn't she? Or she's got family from Spain. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she is, but anyway, but it's French. Love to all here. Okay, I love you guys. Have a great night. Happy New Year's. Cheers, darlings. I'm going to go get my sparkling cider. Obviously, I don't drink because, I had an alcoholic dad and then and then, I've had that experience. I don't want that anymore. Um, but cheers to you, darling, if you're doing it. Tap one out for me, okay? um, all right. I love you guys. Have a lovely, lovely night.